I died choking on my own blood, the taste of betrayal metallic and thick in my throat, as the courtroom lights blurred into a final, mocking spotlight. The judge's gavel cracked like a gunshot, sealing my fate for a crime I didn't commit. Treason, they called it, selling military secrets to foreign operatives. But it was my brother, Ethan, who had whispered those lies into the right ears, his smile as sharp as the knife he never wielded himself. I remember the noose tightening in my cell that night, the guards turning a blind eye because the great General Harlan Harper's daughter was just collateral in his empire of polished boots and buried scandals. And then nothing. Blackness. Until the world slammed back into me like a recoil from a .45, my heart pounding in a chest that shouldn't be breathing anymore. I gasped, bolting upright in a twin bed that smelled of cheap lavender detergent and teenage regret. Sunlight sliced through the blinds of my old room at the base housing in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, the kind of relentless Carolina morning that promised heat and humidity by noon. My hands, smaller, smoother, unscarred by the handcuffs I'd worn in my last life, clutched the faded quilt Grandma stitched before she passed. It was 2015. I was 22 again, a fresh West Point grad home on leave, before the promotion that would have made me Ethan's equal in Dad's eyes. Before the forged emails, the planted drives, the whispers that turned me from prodigy to pariah. "Harper? You up yet, lazybones?" Mom's voice floated up the stairs, laced with that southern drawl she never shook, even after 20 years of army brat's life. I stumbled to the mirror, staring at the face that had haunted news cycles in my previous timeline, sharp jaw, hazel eyes that could command a platoon or crumble under scrutiny. But this time, those eyes burned with a fire forged in hell. Ethan had stolen everything. My career, my name, my life, and pinned his sins on me to climb the ladder Dad built. The secrets he buried? Dad's own off-the-books deals with defense contractors, greased palms that funded our family's McMansion facade while soldiers died for faulty gear. I knew because I'd uncovered it all, too late, in that final week before the trial. This time, I'd unearth it before the dirt settled. Downstairs, the kitchen hummed with normalcy that felt like a lie. Dad, all 6'4" of him in his starched fatigues, sipped black coffee at the granite island, scanning the morning brief on his tablet. Ethan lounged across from him, 25 and already a captain, his boyish grin hiding the serpent I'd learned to spot too late. Mom flipped pancakes, humming an old Patsy Cline tune, oblivious to the fault lines cracking beneath our feet. "Morning, sis," Ethan said, sliding a plate my way. "Heard you aced that sim yesterday. Dad's got his eye on you for the next op." I forced a smile, my fork piercing the fluffy stack like it was his throat. "Thanks. Just doing my part." My voice was steady, but inside, the plan uncoiled like a spring-loaded trap. Step 1. Play the dutiful daughter. Step 2. Dig up the dirt without tipping my hand. Step 3. Make them watch as their world burned from the inside out. The day blurred into base routine, PT at dawn, where I pushed harder than necessary, earning nods from the drill sergeants who, in my old life, had testified against me with feigned regret. Lunch in the mess hall, where whispers about the Harper Golden Girl floated like smoke. By afternoon, I was in Dad's office, volunteering for extra admin duty. He barely looked up from his calls.
Fine, Harper.
But don't screw around. We've got eyes on us.
Eyes.
Yeah, I knew all about those. In my first go-round, those eyes belonged to Ethan's cronies in Intel, feeding him intel on my every move. This time, I'd feed them back poison. That night, the family dinner at the officers' club was the powder keg I'd dreaded and craved. The room buzzed with brass, colonels nursing whiskeys, wives in pearls trading gossip about deployments. Dad held court at the head table, his chest puffed with stories from his last tour in Kandahar. Ethan flanked him, the perfect heir, while Mom chatted up the commandant's wife about garden clubs back in Virginia. I slid into my seat beside Ethan, the chair scraping like a warning. The conversation flowed, shop talk about budget cuts, the latest drone strikes, until Dad's gaze landed on me, heavy as a rucksack. Harper, you still mooning over that psych degree? Army needs fighters, not shrinks. Laughter rippled, polite but cutting. I opened my mouth to retort, something about emotional intel being the real battlefield, when Ethan's foot nudged mine under the table. A signal, in my old memory, shut up, let me shine. But this wasn't then. Actually, Dad, I said, voice clear as a bugle. I was thinking about those contractor bids you greenlit last quarter. The ones with the inflated costs. Psych might help figure out why we're bleeding cash while troops get shorted on vests. The table froze. Forks hovered. Dad's face reddened, veins bulging like tripwires. What the hell are you on about, girl? That's classified chatter. Ethan leaned in, his whisper hot against my ear. Easy, Harp. Not the time. I met his eyes, seeing the flicker of panic. The first crack. It's always the time for truth, brother. The room's energy shifted, eyes darting like spotters in a firefight. Then it happened just like before, but this time I saw it coming. Dad shoved back his chair, the screech echoing off the wood-paneled walls. He loomed over me, his shadow swallowing the candlelight. Someone like you doesn't deserve to sit here, he growled, yanking my chair out from under me. I caught myself on the table edge, palms slamming into china that rattled like bones. Gasps rippled, scandalized, delicious. I hit the floor hard, knees barking against the parquet, but I didn't cry out. No, I rose slow, dusting my skirt with deliberate calm, meeting his fury with ice. The room held its breath. And then, from the corner table, a figure stood, tall, silver-haired, his uniform heavy with stars. General Elias Crow, Dad's old CO from Desert Storm, the man who'd mentored me in secret during my cadet days. In my first life, he'd been the one to visit me in prison, whispering doubts about the evidence. Now his voice cut through the hush like a K-bar. Harlan, Crow said, not a shout but a command that bent the air. Sit your ass down. And, Harper, get back in that chair. We've got enough enemies out there without turning on our own. Dad hesitated, the general's rank a leash he couldn't snap. He sank back, muttering about family discipline, but the damage was done. Whispers ignited, the Harper girl mouthing off about bids. Harlan's temper flaring in public. Ethan shot me a glare that promised payback, his facade cracking just enough for me to taste victory. As the dinner limped on, I reclaimed my seat, spine straight as a salute. Crow's nod was subtle, a lifeline tossed to a drowning woman. Later, in the parking lot under sodium lamps buzzing like angry hornets, he pulled me aside. That wasn't just Spitfire, Lieutenant. You know something.
Spill.
I waited. Trust a man who'd failed me once? But in this reset, risks were currency. Sir, those bids? They're Ethan's doing. Padding numbers, skimming for off-books ops. Dad's blind to it or complicit. I have proof. Digital breadcrumbs. His eyes narrowed, the lines of too many wars etching deeper. Dangerous game, Harper. Your brother's got friends in high places. But if it's true, he trailed off, pulling a card from his breast pocket. My direct line. Use it wisely. And watch your six. I pocketed it, adrenaline humming like rotor blades. Back home, the house was a minefield. Mom fussed over bruises that weren't there. Dad stewed in his study with the door locked, and Ethan cornered me in the hall, his grip on my arm bruising. What the fuck was that? Trying to tank Dad's rep to boost yours? I wrenched free, whispering so only he heard. I know what you did, Ethan. The emails to Petrov. The Cayman accounts. Play nice, or I unravel it all. His face paled, the golden boy mask slipping. You don't know shit. But he did, and the fear in his eyes was my first real weapon. That night, alone in my room, I fired up my old laptop, the one I'd stupidly left unsecured in my first life. Passwords cracked easy with the knowledge of a dead woman. Buried in Ethan's shared drive, manifests for ghost shipments, emails coded in ROD13 that screamed kickbacks. The secret he'd pinned on me? A fabricated leak of troop movements to a Russian cutout, all to cover his own side hustle selling intel for crypto. Dad's involvement? Peripheral, but damning sign-offs on falsified reports to keep the gravy train rolling. By dawn, I'd copied it all to a burner drive, encrypted tighter than Fort Knox. Phase 1 complete. But revenge wasn't a sprint. It was a siege. I needed allies, leverage, and a way to make the fallout public without dragging innocents under. Crow was a start, but he'd want clean hands. The real play? Infiltrate Ethan's circle. Turn his snakes on each other. Weeks blurred into a tense standoff. Base life amped up. Joint exercises with NATO allies, where I shone in Sims, earning stripes that chafed Ethan's ego. Dad thawed slightly, grumbling apologies over steak nights, but his eyes held suspicion. You're different, Harper. Sharper. Like you've seen ghosts. I smiled into my wine. Maybe I have, Dad. Ethan's moves escalated subtly. Anonymous tips to my CO about attitude issues, a slashed tire I reported as vandalism. I countered with whispers of my own, dropping hints to Crow's aide about irregular procurement in Ethan's unit. The general called twice, voice gravelly over scrambled lines. Got your packet? It's gold, kid. But Harlan's sniffing around. Lay low. Laying low wasn't my style. The hook dug deeper when Ethan threw a curveball, a family reconciliation, barbecue at the lake house in the Smokies, inviting the whole command staff. Bonding time, he called it, but I smelled ambush. As we grilled burgers under July sun thick as molasses, the air crackled with subtext. Dad clapped Ethan on the back for a flawless recent op, while sidelining my questions about logistics. Then, mid-bite, Ethan leaned over, voice syrupy. Hey, Harp, remember that psych paper you wrote? On betrayal in high-stakes teams? Bet it's autobiographical. Laughter again, but this time I laughed too, louder.
Nah, Ethan.
That's more your wheelhouse. Like how Judas got 30 pieces, digital ones, these days. The table stilled. Dad's fork clattered. Enough, both of you. But Crow, invited as honored guest, cleared his throat. Actually, Harlan, your girl's onto something. Been hearing murmurs about audit flags in procurement. Might be worth a look. Ethan's jaw tightened, his eyes promising hell. As the sun dipped, painting the lake blood red, I slipped away to the dock, burner phone in hand. Time to light the first fuse. The call went to a contact I'd cultivated in my first life. Too late then. Riley Voss, a hacker kid from the wrong side of Fayetteville who'd owed me a favor after I pulled strings to get his sister off base charges. Harper? Holy shit, it's really you. Thought you were stateside myth. Cut the fanboy, Riley. I need dirt on Ethan Harper, financials, dark web trails, and make it untraceable. He whistled low. That's Fort Bragg brass. You're playing with napalm.
Exactly.
Get me what I need, and your sister's got a full ride to UNC. By midnight, files flooded my inbox. Ethan's crypto wallet tied to Petrov Shell Company, timestamps matching the leak he'd framed me for. Jackpot. But as I pored over them in the dim glow of my laptop, headlights swept the driveway. Ethan, home early from whatever bar he'd slumped to, his shadow looming in the doorway. Cease. We need to talk. I minimized windows, heart steady. About. He stepped in, closing the door soft, like a predator. This shit you're stirring. Dad's pissed. Crow's asking questions. Whatever grudge you've got, drop it. We're family. Family. The word twisted like barbed wire. In my old life, I'd begged for that mercy in the holding cell, Ethan visiting with crocodile tears. Just sign the plea, Harp. Make it easy. I'd refused, clinging to honor, and he'd walked free. This time, honor was the noose I wouldn't tie. Ethan, I said, standing to meet him eye to eye, family doesn't sell out family, like you did with those manifests. Or the Petrov drop. August 2017, remember? IP bounced through Toronto. His face drained of color, a fish gasping on dry dock. How? Doesn't matter. What matters is, I go public, you're done. Military prisons, no country club. He lunged, hand clamping my wrist. You think you're smart? I've got backups. People who'll bury you deeper than last time. Last time. The slip hung there, confirmation of his rot. I twisted free, knee driving up into his gut. He doubled, wheezing. Get out. He staggered back, hatred raw. This isn't over, Harper. Blood's thicker than your bullshit. The door slammed, but sleep evaded me. Dawn brought decisions that gnawed like bad chow. Go to Crow now, risk Ethan circling the wagons? Or deeper undercover, turning his allies? The controversial play. Seduce the snake. Ethan's lieutenant, Marco Reyes, a slick operator with a gambling debt and a taste for redheads. In my first timeline, he'd been the courier for the leaks, loyal to Ethan's wallet. Flip him, and the house of cards toppled. I started small. Accidental run-ins at the O Club, compliments on his marksmanship laced with questions about unit stresses. Marco bit, his ego a wide-open flank. Over beers one sticky September night, as cicadas screamed outside, I leaned in. Heard Ethan's riding you hard on those audits. Must suck, covering for brass mistakes. His laugh was bitter, eyes flicking to the door. You don't know the half. Captain's got side deals, gear vanishing into thin air. I sign off, or it's my ass. Bingo. What if it didn't have to be? What if you had proof, real proof, to trade up? He paused, foam on his lip. Like what? Immunity. And a cut of the whistleblower pot. But you'd have to wear a wire. Marco's eyes widened, greed versus fear. Wiring the captain? That's career suicide. Or salvation. Think about it. Your debt's gone, stripes intact. Ethan's the fall guy. He drained his pint, setting it down deliberate. Send me the plan. But if this blows, I'm ghosting you both. Allies secured. The tension ratcheted. Base scuttlebutt turned toxic. Rumors of IG probes. Dad's meetings stretching late. Mom cornered me in the laundry room, her hands wringing like dish rags. Harper Jane, what's eating this family? Your father's not sleeping. Ethan's like a caged bear. I hugged her, inhaling the scent of bleach and love untainted. Just growing pains, Mom. It'll pass. But it wouldn't. October brought the op, a routine supply run to the warehouse district off-post, where Ethan met his Petrov contact. Marco wired, me in a van 2 blocks out, Riley patching feeds. Heart hammering, I watched the grainy cam, Ethan handing off a USB, cash exchanged in shadows. Tell Ivan the next batch's gold. Harlan's sign-off seals it. My blood boiled, Dad's name invoked like a talisman. Marco's voice crackled next. Cap, we good? Audits are heating up. Ethan's reply, casual as a weather report. Handle it. Like we handle Harper's loose ends last time. Last time. The words echoed my death, fueling the fire. Marco played his part, feigning concern, drawing out confessions until Ethan slipped. Account numbers, drop points, the whole rotten core. We pulled the plug before Ethan scented the trap. Marco vanished to a safe house. I delivered the recording to Crow at a diner off I-95, hash browns cooling, untouched. This is airtight, the general said, jaw set. But Harlan.
Christ.
He's my friend. Then save him, I urged. Before Ethan drags him under for good. Crow nodded, the weight of stars heavy. You're playing a dangerous hand, Harper. One wrong card, and it's all ashes. The aftermath exploded like a flashbang. Raids at dawn, MPs swarming the base, Ethan cuffed in his boxers on the front lawn, Dad's face ashen in the doorway. I watched from the shadows, Mom sobbing beside me. What have you done, baby? Fixed what was broken, I whispered. Interrogations dragged into weeks. Ethan lawyered up, spinning tales of rogue elements, but the wire was damning. Petrov's network crumbled under FBI heat, headlines screaming Fort Bragg scandal. Captain betrays for Bitcoin. Dad faced the review board, his legacy teetering, but Crow's testimony, painting him as unwitting pawn, kept the stars pinned.
Me?
Cleared before charges could stick, hailed as the whistleblower who saved the day. Promotions whispered, but the cost carved deep. Family dinners were ghosts, Mom's eyes hollow, Dad's silence a wall. Ethan, awaiting court-martial, sent letters from pre-trial, vicious at first, then pleading. You were always the favorite. This is your fault. I burned them, ashes scattering like spent casings. November chill bit as I prepped for deployment, Afghanistan, leading a psych ops team I'd never reached in my first life. Crow pulled strings, a nod to debts repaid. But victory soured when Dad finally spoke, over lukewarm coffee in his stripped-down study, medals boxed away. You knew, he said, voice gravel.
About the bids.
Before. I met his gaze, unflinching.
Yeah.
And I chose you over him. He deflated, shoulders sagging like a punctured ruck. I failed you both. Pushed too hard, saw what I wanted. But Harper, that night at the club, pulling your chair? Lowest moment of my life. Tears pricked, regret, not absolution. Fix it, Dad. Be better. He nodded, tentative bridge forming. But revenge's shadow lingered. Whispers followed me. The girl who toppled her own brother. Allies respected, enemies plotted. And in quiet moments, the nooses phantom itch returned. Then, the twist I'd half expected, courtesy of Riley's final drop, an email chain. Ethan's to Dad, dated months back. She's digging, sir. We handle her like the leak, frame, and fade. For the family. Dad wasn't blind. He was the architect, protecting his empire by sacrificing his daughter. The betrayal deepened, a chasm. Confront him now, shatter the fragile peace. Or wield it silent, letting guilt be his cage? I chose the controversy. Leak it anonymously, force his hand without direct blood. Riley obliged, the story breaking mid-December. General's dilemma. Cover for son. Betray daughter? Anonymous sources, irrefutable timestamps. Pandemonium. Dad resigned for health, but not before a presser where he choked out. My greatest failure was not seeing the hero in my daughter.
Ethan?
Plea deal. 10 years Leavenworth, his letters turning to dust. Mom and I rebuilt slow. Thanksgiving turkey, just us. Her stories of pre-army days in Savannah filling the voids. Crow offered mentorship, a path to stars of my own. But as snow dusted the pines outside, I wondered, was this rebirth salvation, or just deferred damnation? The real storm brewed in the new year. A Petrov remnant, stateside and vengeful, with my name on a hit list. Ethan had sold more than secrets. He'd sold me out to ghosts who didn't forget. January 2016 hit like a winter gale, winds howling off the Atlantic, rattling windows at the base like accusations. My deployment loomed, Kabul, embedding with Green Berets, turning battlefield psyches into weapons. Irony tasted bitter. The shrink Dad mocked now his legacy's redemption. But the hit list Riley flagged wasn't hyperbole. A encrypted chatter dump from Petrov's fallout. Harper Witch, finish what traitor started. Photos attached me at the O Club, time-stamped last week. Someone local, a sleeper with a grudge and a Glock. I briefed Crow over secure video, his face pixelated but grim. You're not going solo, kid. I've got a shadow, CIA liaison off books. Names, Lena Torres. Ex-Marine, you're kind of crazy. Lena arrived like a storm front. Mid-30s, ink-black hair cropped short, eyes that dissected you like autopsy slides. We met at a Waffle House off-post, hash brown scattering as she slid into the booth. Heard you danced with the devil and stepped on his toes. Respect. More like burned the dance floor. I replied, sizing her up. What's the play? Survival. Petrov's got a cell in Raleigh, arms dealers posing as tech brothers. Your name's their trophy. We infiltrate, dismantle, you get your ticket punched clean. Controversy incarnate. Go rogue with a spook, skirt chains of command, risk everything for closure. But the noose's memory whispered yes. We moved fast, burner identities, stakeouts in strip malls where dreams went to die. Lena's edge was surgical, wiretaps, honey traps, a Beretta always chambered. First brush came mid-month, a tail on my PT run through the pines. Black SUV, tinted like sin. I lost them in the underbrush, Lena's drone feed confirming plates tied to the cell. They're testing, she said, cleaning her nails with a butterfly knife. Next one's lethal. Ethan's ghost haunted the edges, letters smuggled via his lawyer, scrawled in fury. You think this ends me? I gave them your playbook, Harp. Sleep tight. He'd bartered intel on me for leniency, the ultimate gut punch. Dad visited once, gaunt in civvies, mumbling about appeals. He was always weak. I made him that way. Forgive yourself later, I snapped. Right now, stay the hell away. For Mom. He left with shoulders bowed, the general reduced to mortal. Mom, bless her, baked pies and pretended normalcy, but her eyes tracked the doors like sentries. The op peeked in a warehouse on the Cape Fear River, fog rolling thick as deception. Intel pegged it as the cells meet, arms swap for Petrov's revenge fund. Lena and I geared up, tack vests under hoodies, earpieces humming. You take point, she said. Your ghost, your kill. Inside, crates loomed like tombstones, air reeking of oil and ozone. Voices echoed, 3 tangos, accents Eastern Euro, laughing over vodka shots. The girl Harper? Easy mark. Traitors spawn, they say. My blood iced, but Lena's hand on my shoulder grounded. We moved shadow quiet, zip ties and suppressed pops felling 2 before the third spun, AK barking wild. Bullets chewed crates, splinters flying like shrapnel. I tackled him, knee to throat, Lena cuffing as he gurgled curses. Interrogation was raw, waterboard light, questions in Russian I'd crammed from old files. He cracked, hit funded by Ethan's offshore drop, target me at the airport send-off. Captain promised your head for his freedom. Freedom. Ethan's delusion to the end. We torched the cache, ghosts vanishing into the night. Lena's report to Crow cleared the air, threat neutralized, cell rolled up. But the cost? A graze on my arm, stitched in a clinic that asked no questions, and a scar on my soul. Knowing blood bought my breath. Back at base, the send-off was subdued. Mom's hugs bone-crushing, Dad's handshake firm for the first time. Proud of you, Harper. Finally. I searched his eyes. No more lies. Just weary truth. Earn it, Dad. Every day. On the sea, 1:30 to Bagram. Engines droning like fate. Lena sat across, flipping a Zippo. You could have run. Why fight? Revenge isn't just payback, I said, staring at clouds below. It's rewriting the ending. Kabul was chaos wrapped in dust, market blasts, night raids, psyops turning Taliban whispers to doubt. I thrived. Sessions with berets cracking open traumas I'd lived myself. Letters home flowed. Mom's recipes. Dad's clipped updates on his consulting gig. Ethan's trial verdict, 20 years, no parole. Twist came in April, a redacted file from Crow. Ethan's final plea, recorded in lockup. It wasn't just me, General. Dad knew the deals, pushed me into them. And Harper. She was collateral.
But now?
She's the threat. Dad had greenlit the frame-up, a desperate bid to protect the family name. The architect, indeed. Rage flared, but so did pity, a man so armored by ambition he'd sacrifice his blood. I could have leaked it, nuked his fragile peace. Instead, the controversial mercy, anonymous donation to his restitution fund, with a note. Build better. For her. Mom deserved that much. By summer's end, my tour wrapped, medals pinned, psych unit hailed as game changer. Stateside, Fort Bragg welcomed me changed, captain's bars, Crow's protege. Dad's study door open for chess nights where we dissected old ops, silences less heavy. Ethan rotted in Supermax, Petrov's empire ash. But rebirth's gift was sharper edges, trust rationed, vengeance a quiet hum. Mom and I hiked the Smokies one crisp fall day, leaves crunching underfoot like old grudges. You saved us, baby, she said, linking arms.
Nah, Mom.
We saved each other. As sun dipped, painting ridges gold, I felt the noose dissolve, not forgotten, but forged into armor. Someone like me? Hell, I deserved the head chair now. And no one would pull it away again. In the end, it wasn't happily ever after, just a hard-won truce with the devils inside. But damn if it didn't feel like victory, American style. Messy, unapologetic and fiercely mine.